Last week as I was scrolling through the Steam store page, the marvelous Xseed Games publisher sale stole my attention with Medieval Fantasy and The Spatula. But after clicking through, what I ended up staying for was the overwhelming waves of nostalgia that I found on the other side. Back in 2003, when I was in grade 5 of middle school, little 11-year-old Sven, I remember walking down the old wooden steps to our basement where there my sister sat in front of the big old box TV. The kind where the back stuck out farther than the width and where the resolution was equal lengths tall as it was wide. In her hands was a 3-pronged controller with a cord that ran from the couch to the floor and then back up again to this little purple cube sitting on the coffee table. And just past that Nintendo GameCube, her eyes were glued to the words of Harvest Moon that crackled fuzzily across the screen. Up until that point, I'd spent most of my time playing action games. Things like Super Mario Sunshine, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, Super Smash Bros. Melee, Pikmin, Star Fox Adventures, and of course, James Bond 007 Nightfire. I'll never forget that game. But Harvest Moon was something that my tiny little brain had never seen before. There was no action, no fighting, no violence, no adventure, yet I couldn't look away. Normally I'd make some snarky comment like, wow, this is lame, and then I'd just grab my Game Boy Advance and launch up something like Pokemon Ruby or Lunar Legend that I think I was playing at that time. From there I'd fiddle away on that until she was done so that I could get my hands on the console. But this time, I just sat there in silence. I was mesmerized by the simplicity and comfort of Harvest Moon. I watched her water crops, tend to animals, talk to villagers, wander around the village. On the surface, everything seemed so bland, but I was completely immersed. After a few hours, she finished up for the day, rolled up her cord of the controller, and went upstairs. So I plugged in mine, popped in an orange Mad Catz memory card, and began my lifelong obsession with a new genre. What I didn't know at the time, and I wouldn't realize until I was much, much older and not any more wiser or mature, was that there were typically 2 reasons I'd pick up a video game. The first one is that I like puzzles and problem solving, and the second reason is that I love to embrace the worlds that I play as I become enveloped and immersed within their settings and stories, as if I'm actually there a part of it all. I also think that's why I hate horror games, but that's another story for another video. Going through that publisher sale, which I think is ended by the time this video's come out, and seeing the titles of Harvest Moon and Rune Factory, it brought me back to those early days, and it reminded me of my very first introduction to what I called at the time farming games, and how those titles became the foundation for my love of what I now know as simulation games. I honestly thought those franchises had ended long ago, giving way to the likes of Stardew Valley or Slime Rancher or even Farm Together. But heck, we're on Rune Factory 5 now, and Harvest Moon goes by Story of Seasons. While I may not have continued with those specific titles, they've influenced my gaming habits to this day. Space Engineer is my top played game, Stellaris, which is an RTS, but it's still pretty immersive, and then there's Ark, Eco, 7 Days to Die, Stationeers. Most of my games with the biggest hours are all connected to the simulation genre in some sort of way. As I scrolled through the digital shelves of that latest sale, reminiscing over the worlds of Harvest Moon and Rune Factory, it's clear how these games have shaped not just my interest in video games, but that they've also contributed to the evolution of the simulation genre itself. Stardew Valley and Slime Rancher have taken foundational elements of these early simulation games and they've expanded upon them, creating richer, more immersive experiences. Yet despite the advancements in graphics, mechanics, and storytelling, the core of what drew me to these games has remained unchanged. This week, while continuing to add more of my Switch games into the catalog, I marked in another 90 titles, and with each one added, I thought of that sale and I was reminded that every single game in this list is another doorway to a new world. Much like that little purple GameCube was for me back then. And who knows, maybe one of these here will be the next one that leaves a lasting impact like Harvest Moon did all those years ago. On my long journey to play through all of the games I've acquired over the last 13, 14 years or so, we set a theme for this month to play 3D platformers. And from the list this week, I was able to mark off Heavy Burden, A Short Hike, and Gunk, and I even finished Everhood, which was recommended in the comments of a previous video. These games, along with the ones that I saw in the sale, these all just go to show how the gaming industry may continue to evolve with new genres emerging and technologies advancing, but even after all these years, the essence of what makes gaming so magical, it still remains the same for me. So I open this up to you. What games have left a lasting impact on your journey? How have they shaped what it is that you love and enjoy today? I'm positive that no matter how many people share their stories, there won't be a single one that's exactly the same.